In 1997, 39 people lay down on bunk beds in a mansion outside San Diego. Same haircuts. Same black tracksuits. Same brand new Nike sneakers. They folded their hands. They covered their faces with purple cloth. And then, one by one, they drank poison because a man named Marshall Applewhite told them a spaceship was waiting behind a comet. That's not ancient history. That's not a different world. That's 1997. Cell phones existed. The internet existed. People were watching Friends. And right now, today, the same psychological machine that built that moment is still running. Different leaders. Different buildings. Same blueprint. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how it works and why someone you know could already be standing inside it. It didn't start with chains. It started with a seminar. NXIVM opened its doors as a self-improvement company, executive coaching, personal growth, vanguard wisdom from a man named Keith Raniere. People paid thousands of dollars to sit in a room and call him a genius. CEOs sent their employees. Actors signed up. Hollywood came knocking. Raniere built layers, like a pyramid built out of trust. Get in. Get praised. Get promoted. And the deeper you went, the more they asked you to give up. Then came the inner circle. A secret society inside the company, hidden even from senior members. Women only. They called it DOS. To join, you handed over collateral first, nude photos, secrets, anything that could destroy you if it ever got out. Only after you'd already exposed yourself did they tell you the price of staying in. Calorie restriction. Sleep deprivation. A point system where women were ranked by their bodies. And then, branding. A symbol burned into skin near the hip with a cauterizing pen. No anesthesia. Some women later said they were told it was a Latin phrase for the elements. It was actually Raniere's initials. This wasn't a 1970s commune lost in the desert. This was 2017. Smartphones in every pocket. Women with law degrees, with film credits, with families who trusted the wrong invitation. In 2019, Raniere was convicted of sex trafficking and racketeering. He was sentenced to 120 years. He kept directing the group from a federal prison cell because power like his doesn't just switch off when the door locks. Here's the part that should scare you more than the branding. Nobody who joined NXIVM thought they were joining a cult. They thought they were joining a company that would make them better. That's not an accident. That's the design. Marshall Applewhite was a music professor. Bonnie Nettles was a nurse. In 1972, they met, and within a few years, they'd convinced hundreds of people that they were the two witnesses described in the Book of Revelation. Their pitch was simple and strange: human bodies are just containers. Shed the container, and your consciousness, your next-level self, gets picked up and carried into true evolution. For 2 decades, the group lived in near-total isolation. No sex. No individuality. Members took on numbers instead of names. They shaved their heads. They dressed alike. They ran a web design business to pay rent on a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California. Yes, a literal UFO cult had a registered company and a tax return. Bonnie Nettles died of cancer in 1985. That should have broken the prophecy. Instead, Applewhite rebuilt it around himself alone, and the story got darker. In early 1997, the Hale-Bopp comet lit up the night sky. Talk radio spread a rumor that a spacecraft was following behind it, hidden in its tail. Applewhite told his followers this was the sign. The ship had finally come. On March 26, 1997, police entered the mansion and found 39 bodies. Members had taken phenobarbital mixed with applesauce, washed down with vodka, then secured plastic bags over their own heads. They died in shifts, over 3 days, so the living could clean up after the dead and make sure the ritual looked exactly right. Every single one wore the same black shirt, the same black sweatpants, the same brand new black and white Nike Decades. $5.75 in every pocket, for what, nobody has ever fully explained. It remains the largest mass suicide on American soil. And the most unsettling detail isn't the comet, or the spaceship, or the shoes. It's this: in the years before, sociologists had already studied this group up close. They knew exactly how the isolation worked, how the language worked, how the certainty worked. They published papers on it, knowing the mechanism didn't save a single person inside it. That's how strong this gets once it takes hold. Some cults take your money. Some take your dignity. This one took childhoods and called it doctrine. David Berg founded the Children of God in 1968 out of a coffee house ministry in Huntington Beach, California. It looked, at first, like every other counterculture Christian group of the era: communal living, street preaching, total devotion to one leader. By the early 1970s, it had thousands of members across dozens of countries. Berg called himself Moses David. His followers called him a prophet. He communicated almost entirely through typed letters, what the group called Mo letters, and those letters became law. In the mid-1970s, Berg introduced something he called flirty fishing. Female members were sent out to seduce strangers, using sex to recruit converts and donations, and Berg framed it, in writing, as an act of God's love. What followed is documented in multiple government investigations, a British High Court case, and the testimony of dozens of former child members, a culture where Berg's writings extended the same logic to children inside the group. Court findings in the UK concluded the organization had subjected children to systematic physical and sexual abuse. The damage didn't end when people left. It followed them into adulthood, some of them never fully recovered. Berg died in 1994, still unconvicted, while investigations were still active. The group rebranded, first as the Family of Love, then the Family International, and insists today that its practices have changed. We're not going to describe what happened to those children in detail. They don't need to be a spectacle. What you need to understand is simpler, and worse: an adult told a community of children that abuse was love, and used scripture to make it stick. That's not a fringe story from a closed commune. That's a documented legal case. It happened to real kids who are adults now, still carrying it. 3 groups. 3 decades. 3 completely different costumes, a business suit, a spaceship, a Bible verse. Same machine underneath. Step 1. Find someone who feels like they're missing something: connection, purpose, belonging. Step 2. Give them that feeling, fast and overwhelming. Step 3. Make leaving feel more dangerous than staying. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. It doesn't need robes. It doesn't need a compound in the desert. It runs just as well through a webinar, a group chat, or a wellness community with a waitlist. And here's the part nobody wants to hear: the people in these groups weren't stupid, and they weren't weak. NXIVM recruited lawyers and actors. Heaven's Gate recruited people sociologists were actively studying. Intelligence doesn't protect you from this. Vigilance does. So ask yourself the only question that actually matters: is there a group in your life, online or offline, where leaving feels harder than staying? Where questioning the leader feels like betrayal? Where your closest relationships outside the group have quietly started to shrink? If the answer is yes, that's not paranoia. That's the first warning light most victims say they ignored. These cults didn't end when the headlines stopped. The blueprint is still out there, running in plain sight, waiting for the next person who just wants to belong somewhere. Don't be the next name on that list. If this pulled you in, there's another story even darker than these 3, and I think you need to see it next.